I think we are live. Maybe need some guidance here. We are testing the LinkedIn Live. So I see that Jill posting some comments here. I see Hemant posting that means we might be live. We are experimenting LinkedIn Live. We've been familiar with the Zoom webinar. So Hemant, do you guys see Michael and me here? Awesome. I know we have 5 more minutes here. Do we have to start the live stream a little early? Okay, that's good. Technology is working. So Michael, I'm ready with my coffee and water and a couple of questions. This the reason for this cup using this gifted by my wife for my birthday. You can see Jay there. You are on mute.
I got this one because I presented at our MEP course event a couple of years ago. So,
Oh, right. Are there any happening in Texas area coming months?
I think they had a couple this year.
Okay.
They kind of they made it kind of smaller. So rather than it being like a 2 or 3 day thing, once a year they're going around to like cities and doing a 1 or a 2 day thing there.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of ways. I was there in San Antonio when it happened. I got a chance to meet a couple of folks there. Yeah, instead of making it one big event in one place, probably it's going to places and meet the customers and
Yeah. It's they're trying to make it more personable, I guess.
yeah, that's good. We have a couple more minutes here. We'll wait for folks to join. I need to figure out this how this uh, collaboration works with the LinkedIn Live and Zoom and things like that. This is good. Some of the, I renamed my name and still it is showing as Jitu. Yeah, while we are waiting for others, Michael, I know have a couple of questions on the topics that we thought it would be good to cover, but it would be if if you can give some demo for 5-10 minutes in between.
Yeah. I've got it all primed and ready. It'll probably be like a 3 to 5 minute demo. I've got half of it already set up and I'll walk through the rest.
All right. So anything new on the paintings that you are doing recently? Any new paintings?
Yeah, so I'll show you what. So I'm working on this one right here.
Hmm.
This is Monty Irvin, one of my former colleagues that I used to work with at Applied Software. He asked me to do all 12 of the Alabama-born Major League Baseball Hall of Famers, and so I've done I've finished 6 of them now, and I've got 2 more that I'm gonna deliver next month. So I'm doing Monty Irvin, and I finished last night or the night before. I finished what is that guy's name? Joe Sewell, who I had never heard of before, but it was fun learning about him.
Interesting. I've never heard these names, but
Well, yeah, I mean they're famous baseball players, but if you don't follow baseball, then it absolutely means nothing to you. But yeah.
very intentional. Your background with the hats and your artwork. That's good. So I think it's noon central, I believe.
Yes.
Bhavika, if you are on live, we'll kick start. Then folks would be joining slowly anyway. I think we'll get start. We have a 45 minutes here. It's gonna, good content we can cover anywhere from 30 minutes to 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yes.
Hello everyone. This is Jitu Ganji, CEO founder of TechGrid. Welcome to TechGrid Talks. This is our fourth webinar session in the webinar series recently we launched to share about the learnings that we are having from our customers, bringing the technology solutions for the innovation that they wanted to bring it. Today's one, we are going to focus more on the construction technology and emphasis on the data integration, and more specifically on RFI submittals and data drawings. We have our guest here, Michael Reuters from Evolve MVP.
Hello.
Yeah, Michael, I'll have him introduce a little bit. I'll cover some of the logistics here. Michael is a product manager and the BIM advocate at Evolve MVP, where we have been helping them with 360 Sync product development and other products for the last 3 years or so. Real quick about TechGrid. We are a technology services company with product engineering, application development, support, and maintenance, as well as going from the ideation to the all aspects of the software development lifecycle. So today's one mostly focusing on system integration, more specific to custom construction technology. Like to introduce, have Michael introduce himself quickly here, and then we'll deep dive into some of the topics that we agreed upon with Michael to cover. Michael, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Michael Reuter. I am the product manager for 360 Sync. I work for a company called Evolve MEP. We build mostly construction technology for our customers. I've been with Evolve for the past 9 years. It'll be 10 years at the end of March. Before that, I worked in construction as a project engineer and as a BIM coordinator. And so that's kind of where I discovered the problem that my particular tool, 360 Sync, I discovered that problem then. So that's a little bit about me.
Good. I think thanks, Michael, for introducing yourself and accepting to participate in this live session here. Your industry-specific experience collaborating with our technology expertise, we are able to solve some of the innovative and the real-time problems for the construction. Now, just wanted to hear from you, selfish motives, from the TechGrid perspectives, before and after of 360 Sync, right? When we joined you 3 years back, it was in the early stages for that, and then after that we started enhancing. Please help our audience understand.
Yeah, sure. So I had we before I met Jitu, I had a developer on my staff. He was an excellent developer. But we needed we couldn't really get out of our own way. We were just trying to fix bugs, or we were trying to, just to do that. But we needed to very quickly build up some new functionality. And so we looked around and we found Jitu, and TechGrit, and we decided that we needed to outsource some of our development work. And so we started out where they built a SharePoint integration for us. So it allowed our on-staff developer to continue building the tools that he was building, but then it allowed us to also build something else at the same time that we really had to get out really pretty quickly. And so the very first time that we did it, we gave them a great scope of work. They asked some really intelligent questions, and then they built 360 Sync to solve that problem. It took about 6 to 8 weeks to do, and we turned it around quickly, and it solved a major problem for our customers, which was connecting to SharePoint. Okay, so that was the introduction of our of us working together about 3 or 4 years ago.
Awesome, awesome. I just wanted to have our audience listen from you, your success story, in a way to introduce about the TechGrid here. Thank you very much, Michael. So before we deep dive into construction technology, data integration, and more specific to RFI submittals and drawing data, would you please explain about 360 Sync, about the product, and then we go and explore more about what product.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So like I said, I come from the construction industry. I was a BIM coordinator and I was a project engineer. And so the problem that I had when I was a project engineer was that I'm in the construction industry, but I didn't get to do any building. I didn't get to do any construction. I was just doing paperwork all the time. So what that meant for me as a project engineer, I would get a model, or I would get an RFI or a submittal or some document, or maybe it was a drawing, whatever the case may be. I would get a bunch of documents every day. Okay. And so it was my job as the project engineer to essentially push that paper from one place to another, to another, to another. And so for my example, I had to save it on my server because that's where everybody at my company, I worked for Walsh Construction, everybody at Walsh saved their data on the Walsh servers. But then I'd have to turn around and do the exact same thing for SharePoint. Okay. Take that same file, put it in a different place in SharePoint. Okay. So that the entire project, not just Walsh employees, but the subcontractors and the architect and the engineer and the owner, they all had access to that file or that data. And then I have to turn around and do it a third time because I needed the field to have access to it. So I would upload it to BIM 360. And then I would have to do it a fourth time because the architect had new forma and they wanted to they wanted to have that data in their own new forma system. So I was doing the same exact thing 4 times in a row. I was a human carbon copy machine basically. And so me personally, I hated that. I hated doing it. It took me like at least an hour a day, depending on how busy I was that day. And, it was something that I waited until the end of the day to do because like I didn't want to get interrupted and then have to start the process all over or forget where I was, or God forbid I miss a file and just don't even upload it anywhere. So it was kind of like my punishment before I went home, right? And so when I came to when I came to Evolve MEP, um, you know, uh, our owner asked the question, what is a broken workflow in your industry? And so when he asked me that, or when he asked us that, I thought of that problem that I just described. And so we built 360 Sync to automate that process. And so what 360 Sync does is it connects to things like Autodesk, Procore, SharePoint, your Windows server, Bluebeam, and many more, and it takes files and data from one of those places and copies it to the others, so that you just have to do that one time, and then it will take care of the rest. And so that saves you at least an hour a day.
Awesome. So now that we set the stage, we talked a little bit about the tech grid, how it started helping 360, and about the 360 degree, 360 sync product itself. Wanted to, this sets the stage for that for our Q&A session. While we do that, just for the audience, it's intentionally, we didn't want to have any presentation or anything, wanted to have a more
Mhm.
conversational one. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, post it in the chat window here, as well as some of the folks sent me a note saying that they can't attend during this time. They're going to watch this video and they can always send the questions even post session too. With that, on the topics, I'm going to deep dive, Michael. So one thing, it might be a repeat of some of the questions, is about the importance of the real-time data integration in the construction industry for construction teams. If you can again recap that, then we can go into the further more questions.
Yeah, sure. So the way that I see it, the biggest problem with the construction industry is that they're not building things. They are swamped with paperwork. Okay. And so what I've been doing for probably the majority of the past 7 or 8 years with 360 Sync is I'm doing the paper pushing for that that customer. Okay. I'm moving documents from one place to another. Well, what I have worked with for the past 6 to 8 weeks with Jitu and with TechGrit is that I'm not going to just be moving and copying files anymore. I'm going to be copying files and data. So what that means is there's a similar process with things like RFIs and submittals and with drawings where you have to copy those to, the place where your company stores that data, and then also where the project is storing that data, and maybe also where the architect, the engineer, the owner is storing that data. And so you're still having to copy that data from one place to another to another. And so what we are trying to do, or what we have built, is we are automating that process. So, if you have a question about paint color or about the size of a column or the placement of a column for a project, you write an RFI up. You send that to the architect and the owner. They think about it, they answer the thing, and maybe a change happens with the building because of that question. That data keeps getting moved. It's in different silos, and you have to manually input it. And what we're doing, again, same as before, we're automating that process. So, someone writes the answer, someone gets the answer, rather than someone writes the answer, someone has to copy and paste that into all these different little fields. And then they save it, and then they go to the second place and do it, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to automate that process.
Nice. So with that, Michael, this is more generic level about this kind of operational challenges can be avoided adapting it to the 360 sync, and it's a design to integrate and the different discrete systems like Procore, Autodesk, and SharePoint, and the Bluebeam, and others. Would you mind give any specific project outcome by implementing 360 sync? Any of your clients benefited from that?
Yeah. So we worked with a major. I won't give away the customer, but we worked with we were working with a major computer hardware company. Okay. And so that customer was using they were manually, just like what I was saying, manually moving things from place to place to place to place. Okay. And that was someone's job. Okay. That's what they did all day. They were just moving files from A to B, A to C, A to D, so on and so forth. Well, they discovered 360 Sync, and so what that allowed them to do was automate that process. And so that freed that person up to, rather than just move the files from one place to another, they actually started analyzing the files, analyzing the data, confirming that the files in the data were correct, like the person went from being, what I would call a drone, just doing, a job on an assembly line, to thinking and really, empowering that person. And so that's one of the ways that we've helped people. We've taken away the mundane task so that they can focus on the things that they really enjoy doing about work, and hopefully go home on time.
Got it. So I know, right? We did many integrations along the way as you are getting the feedback from the customer asking for more and more enhancements, which requires more integrations, right? Client
Right.
to client. On a selfish reasons, I'm going to bring back again Tegrit's role here, doing that enhancements more specific to the RFIs, submittals, and drawing data. How did that request came in? What was the process, right, that we followed together, right? And then you implemented the integration for RFIs and submittals.
Sure. So I'm on almost every single call that 360 Sync is associated with. And so I listen to what my customers want. And so if someone says, "Hey, I really like 360 Sync, but I wish it did this," and I wish it did that, I keep track of that. And so we track that in our system. And so if I hear certain things enough, then I talk with my team with TechGrit to do it. And so basically what we do, I write up the ticket. I do my best to create a scope of work. Usually it's pretty inadequate. But I'll meet with Ash, who is my developer. He's the nicest person one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. Um, we'll sit down. I'll go through the through my ticket, my scope of work with him and my team, and they'll ask specific questions like, well, do you want it to do this? Do you want it to do that? What data do you want to move with it? Do you like um uh what does it have to do? Like what API connections are we going to connect to, And so then I fix my scope after that conversation based off, feedback. And then I give it back to them. They usually build it. We talk about it 3 times a week, what the progress is, are there any roadblocks? They give it to me usually a week or two earlier than I expected. We go through, we QA it, we test it, then we give it live to the world and we provide it to our customers. And so that's been my process. It's been, I've really been happy with our communication, like our communication process. They're fast, they're friendly, and they are they're smart. They ask me questions that I wouldn't have thought about.
Thank you, Michael. I had to ask that question so that it's our customer success story, but we are a very tiny part of helping you in helping construction teams to avoid any miscommunication and avoid the project delays because of the data synchronization issues, and dealing with all the discrete systems manually. If you can go over a practical example, if you can a demo of a product using the RFI submittals, drawing data, or any other between Procore or Autodesk or any of the systems that you are ready, would be happy to showcase to our customers so that they get a feel for it.
Okay, sure. So you want me to do a demo? Okay, sure.
Yes.
Okay, so um, I guess the first thing that I'm going to do is I'll just kind of talk about all the things that we connect to. Okay, so I'll show that off first. All right, so now if you see my screen, this shows all of the different tools that 360 Sync connects to. If I remember correctly, TechGrit has specifically had a hand in building connections to Autodesk Vault, building significant improvements to my Autodesk Construction Cloud and BIM 360 connections. We've built Asite, significant improvements to SharePoint and Procore. PlanGrid, and Newforma. Okay. We've also done some improvements with Viewpoint for Projects and ShareFile with TechGrid. So all of these things, TechGrid is either built from scratch for me, where we can connect to these things and copy files to or from them, or they have greatly improved them over the course of the past 3 or 4 years. Okay. So this is everything that my tool connects to. And when I say connect, again, I mean we can copy files to or from it. Okay. And so the exciting thing about what I'm doing now is I've always been copying files. So just documents from one place to another to another. But the way that the construction industry works is there is data in in spaces that needs to be copied now as well, in addition to the files. And so what we've started doing now is copying data from one place to another. Okay. And here, probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to copy data from one place to another when a specific status or something like that is met. So like if someone approves a submittal or answers an RFI, that RFI or that submittal gets copied from one place to another to another to another. So really the customer gets it not just immediately, but immediately when it's needed, right? Because I could just move it whenever anything changes, but the important thing is giving someone the information that they need when they need it, okay? And so that's what we're building right now. And so if you see my screen now, you should see 360 Sync, okay? So you can see I've already set up some connections to Autodesk and Procore. It's super easy to do. You just put your email in, you choose what you want to connect to, you hit connect, okay? From there, you will you start building projects, okay? And you can see I've built 7 projects already. And inside of this one project, which I've called RFIs, photos, and sheets, I've actually already created 2 mappings where I am copying Autodesk RFIs and Procore RFIs, or Autodesk RFIs to Procore's RFI tool. And then I'm also taking Autodesk photos to Procore photos. And so the third and final thing that I'm going to do is I am going to copy some of my sheets to, well, maybe not. So the last thing I'll do is I guess I'll copy some drawings to Autodesk, okay? And so I will choose my company, I'll choose my project, and then I will choose what I want to connect to. So if I want to sync all of my drawings, then I can do that, okay? Also, if I just wanted to move specific drawings, I could do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll say we just want to move these issued for construction drawings. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'll come in here. I'll choose my project. I'll come in here and then I'll choose where I want these to be copied to. All right. So we'll come in here. We'll go to project files. I'll create a folder. Call this TechGrid demo. It's going to create a folder inside of there. There we go. And now it's going to copy those files and that data from Autodesk, from Procore to Autodesk. So we'll call this. So now I'm just going to hit save. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 things, like I said, RFIs to RFIs, photos to photos, and then drawings to documents. Okay. So now if I wanted to, I could just hit play and run this right now, and that's what I'm going to do. But the thing that really saves our customers time is to click the schedule button up there, that green schedule button. And so what we can do is we can choose when we want 360 Sync to run. And so if we want it to run, for instance, at 1:24 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, then I can have it do that, okay? If I need it to run more often than that, so let's say I want it to run every 2 hours, I can check that repeat button that I just clicked, and then it's going to sync those files every day, Monday through Friday at 1:24 p.m. and every 2 hours after that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, Since I want this to run, since I want this to run automatically, regardless of whether I'm at my computer or not. So maybe I take a lunch, and I still want it to run. My computer falls asleep. If I type in my username and password here for logging into the computer, then I can just have it run. It'll run automatically. Oftentimes my customers have this stuff run at like in the middle of the night, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, when bandwidth usage is low but bandwidth is high. When usage is low, bandwidth is high. And so then basically everybody wakes up in the morning, they're none the wiser of it. Everybody has the most recent data or recent files. Okay. So anyway, I would hit save there, and then it's going to run every day at that time. So I can come in here and I can take a look at what's going on. And so you can see this one, I had one little failure there. The reason for that is because this one has some restricted characters in it that Procore does not accept. So if I were to come in here and review that, it would kind of I could look at my log and it would tell me exactly why it failed. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's how it works. That's what it does. Super easy, super simple. I'm usually in and out of my setup calls in 15 minutes. So
Super. While we are
yeah.
on this, I know I see one question related to this. Question is there any file format translation involved? You might have addressed it again for the audience if you can focus on that.
Sure. So I can choose to filter by file type. Okay. So if I wanted to, I could just choose to download certain file types. So maybe I just wanted to download PDFs. I could do that. So I'd come down here and say, okay, I just want to download PDF files, right? Now, if you're asking like format translation, like can you change a Revit model into a CAD drawing, or a CAD drawing into a Revit model, or like a Google Doc into um like an Excel file or something like that. Right out of the box, that's not something that we can do. It is something that could possibly be built for it, but right now we are just taking what we see in one spot and copying it to where we want it to go. Okay. The only exception with that is with zip files. We do have an option where you can download a zip file and then extract it and just take the files out of it rather than have a zip file. That's the only exception to that question. Or to that. And then another question that I saw just came in: are there limitations on file format or size? Okay, so we are limited by the file format, by what the destination allows you to copy up. So Autodesk won't allow us to upload shortcuts or exe files, and there's several other things that they won't allow us to upload. But Procore will let us do shortcuts or stuff like that. So it depends on the place that there are limitations for the file format. As far as the file size, we have recent TechGrid actually helped us recently improve that. Places like Procore and SharePoint would only allow us to have like 2 gigabytes or smaller files, and we've recently upgraded that to 10 gigabytes or smaller for places for like things like SharePoint and Procore. But generally, like if we're going to Windows or we're going to Autodesk, there generally isn't a file size limitation. So we can download whatever file size the destination will allow.
Got it.
Okay, good questions.
There are a couple more questions. I'll get to that while we are on this screen. I know the very first slide you showed is what all the different systems, right,
Yes,
are integrated. Would you mind bring that back?
sure. There we go.
So now all these systems are integrations are ready, available for any customers to start use the 360 sync, or is it the roadmap?
No, this is everything that every customer right out of the box can connect to. I think we've got a pretty good handle on the construction industry as far as what they need to connect to. You know, we and even if it's not shown here, one, it's possible that we can connect to it if there's like a desktop connector tool that it uses. So something like well, ODrive is an example. I'm not sure if it's on here, but we can connect to that because that acts like it's like a server or a shared drive. Um, uh, but then if you don't see it here, we can build it. Like, TechGrit helps me build new integrations. It usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to do. So that's definitely something that we could do. Like today, I got a request for a Trimble product. So I've been getting that more and more often lately. So that's, like I said, that's something that I'll put into that ticket, and then once it gets to a good number, then I'll probably look at doing it.
Super. Yeah, we found a rhythm, we found a process where how to take the customer feedback and see that, what's the ROI looks like, and then go ahead and implement it. Now, it's not a tricky question, Michael. It's again asking the same question reverse. Now that you've shown the platform, how it looks like, assume that people are not using the 360 sync, more specific to RFI submittals and drawing data, if they don't have this platform. Can you use an example to say that how inefficient that is, or what would be the impact of that on the project outcomes?
Yeah. So if you're doing this manually, right, you'll get an email from let's just take the RFI
Mhm.
process as an example, okay? The way that works, there's 3 or 4 entities involved, okay? Typically the like the subcontractor, the person that's actually building it, right? So let's just say for sake of argument, um there it's the electrician, okay? The electrician has a question about how he's going to run the cable tray around this spot because there's a roadblock with a column where it was intended to go. Okay,
Mhm.
so he writes that question up. Hey, in corridor X, um, uh, my cable tray is supposed to go right down the corridor. It
Mhm.
won't fit. What should I do?
Mhm.
And so he sends that to. He will type that up in his little RFI tool, and then he will make a PDF of it, and he will put that in an email, and he will send it to the general contractor who manages the entirety of the project, right? He's dealing with all of the subcontractors that are building America, as my
Mhm.
superintendent friends used to say, right? Um, so uh, you know that, that once the general contractor gets it, he reviews it. Maybe he takes a picture of it out in the field. Maybe he marks up a drawing showing like here's where the problem is. Maybe he fixes the spelling error or whatever. But whatever he does, he takes that PDF and he copies and pastes it into his own little RFI tool,
Mhm.
like field by field,
Right.
and like uploads the files that he marked up, saves
Mhm.
it, creates another PDF, sends that to the architect, okay, or the owner's representative, the person who is managing the project for the owner
Mhm.
that has a deep understanding of construction, right? So that person gets that email,
Mhm.
he inputs all of that data into his tool, which
Mhm.
for me it was always Newforma that the architect used.
Right.
Um, he would input that same data that the general contractor and that the subcontractor already typed in. Okay.
Mhm.
So he types it into his system. He thinks about it. He consults with his structural engineer or his electrical engineer or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
and then he writes up an answer. He says, let's move this to corridor Y instead of corridor X. Okay.
Mhm.
And so then He draws it up on the thing, like, says, puts an arrow saying, hey, move this over here, and then draws a little red line showing where it should go. He saves that, uploads it, clicks a little button, marks that as answered. Then he creates another PDF, and so on and so forth, all the way back down the line. So my whole point there is everybody is data entering, right? They're doing data entry. In that example, it happened 4 times, and it would have really happened 6 times because it would have gone back to the general contractor. That would be number 5, and then the 6th time it would have gone to the subcontractor, right? So 6 times people were typing in things, for a second, third, fourth, fifth, 6th time.
Right.
That's incredibly inefficient. That's ridiculous. That no one wants to do that. Everybody wants to go out there and, like I said earlier, they want to build America, right? That's why they're in construction. They want to say, I built that project. Like they take pride in that. They want to go out there and they want to contribute. They don't want to be stuck in paperwork or in data entry all day. They want to go out there and they want to affect the world positively, right? And so that's what my tool does. Is it, rather than each person entering the data, you just sync it from one place to another when a certain status is met, and then it pushes back to the other spot when a different status is met. And so really you just fill in your information and it pushes it to everybody. So that simplifies the project process. That makes it much more user. You're not going to miss anything. You're not playing a game of telephone where, once it goes through 6 people, like the question is completely changed or the answer is completely changed. You understand exactly what it is. It speeds up that process and it makes it more efficient and more effective, and there's less waste and there's less loss, right? And so that's basically what you helped me. That's what your team helped me build, was a way to improve that process so that it's simple and painless.
Together we are building America.
Yes,
So
exactly. We're building, we're helping, America build better. Yes.
Yeah. So not only that, I think not only bringing the efficiency in a construction project executions, but if we are saving a day, right, an hour in a day for any individual, that's the time given to them for upskill themselves or spend time on more forward thinking, as well as go back and spend time with the family, right? You are giving the right tools for them on the repeated things that they need to do and avoiding the manual errors.
Yeah, and it's really not something there's no reason that I'm not cutting out something that's vital, right? It's like, this is not something where a person had to. They're just tapping. They're just copying and pasting things. Like, if there's no thought going on when you're taking it from point A to point B to point C, there's no thought going on there. What we're empowering our customers to do is to have the ability to think again, instead of just mindlessly droning on and just doing what's in front of them. They can actually think ahead.
Yep. So looks like we have another question, Michael, if you can take up that. And
Sure. Is there a feature of push notifications so a user may know when there's a new file format for them to review? Okay, so good question. So let's see if I can answer that. So we can send you an email letting you know, hey, 360 sync ran successfully, or 360 sync ran unsuccessfully. And so if either way, it'll send you if you do both, it would send you an email on both. Typically our customers want to just have it send you an email on an error so they know that, hey, there's something that we need to do. Also, many of the tools that we connect to let you you can set up push notifications within them. So if you're listening to a folder, if something is updated, then it'll send that to you right out of the box. I don't have anything that does that, where like, hey, this file was updated, aside from sending the log. Like, the log would tell you, hey, X amount of we processed, let's say 100 files, 10 of them were new. Okay, that's what it would tell you. Same thing if it was failed, it would say we there was a problem. We pushed 100 or we tried to push 100 files. 80 of them were successful. 20 of them failed. Come into 360 Sync and review the logs. Okay. So we don't have it on a file by file basis, but we do have logs that will alert you when and if a problem arises, or if you need to know that something was updated.
Cool. So I hope that answers. There's one more question here. How is the typical ROI calculator for companies that want to use 360 Sync?
Okay, so here's how I would do it. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to take, find out who is doing the data management or the data entry right now. Okay, what are those people being billed at right now, right? And like I said, I think a very conservative estimate is that I'm saving them an hour a day. So that's 5 hours a week, right? So multiply that hourly rate times 5 or times, what is it, 22? I'm trying to think. 28, 4. So yeah, it'll be like 22 or 23, right? Because that's how many days are typically in a work month, right? So 23 times that hourly rate, that's basically how much time you're saving. And again, I would say that just with the file management, that an hour is a pretty safe and conservative estimate for how much time you're saving per person. And then you do that, and let's say, you can set this up for as many projects as you want. So then if you're doing it for project A, B, C, D, and E, you can multiply that times, those 4 projects, and that's how you get the return on the investment. It's the time that you're saving from having to do that. Okay.
I would encourage that if they are doing manually any of this, all they need to do is schedule a demo with you. Just come back and say that what's happening, how they are operating today, and then you would be able to help them put them onto the paper and calculate and show them this is what, and so
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And absolutely, and we have an ROI calculator that does just that on my website. So, but yeah,
Nice.
you put in the hourly rate, how many hours do they spend doing it, and then multiply that times, for a year or whatever.
Good, great question. I think we will, after this session, if we can post that ROI calculator on the LinkedIn Live, probably people can grab that and then do their calculations on them.
Sure.
And couple things. I know we have another couple minutes left, or if you can give me, one more question from my side, right? Or I'm gonna combine 2 questions together. Is looking at the future for 2025 and beyond, while getting the feedback from the customer, what's the outlook for the construction tech, more specifically from the data integration 360 Sync focus, right? And the follow-up question would be, any quick wins for the customer that they wanted to adopt to 360 Sync. For the benefit of time, I'm just combine those 2.
Sure. So the first question, like well, I guess you're asking me where am I going, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be able to copy data intelligently from one system to another, because I believe that everybody has their own way of doing things, and then they have to compromise to do it to an to work with in a collaborative environment. So there's always going to be your silo of information over here and the project silo of information. And so I want to be able to have that data communicate back and forth so that it's automatically, so that the data is up to date no matter where you're looking or who's looking at it. Okay. So I'm going to be focused on copying RFI and submittal data back and forth. I'm going to be focused on copying cost and change order data, like uh, billing data, moving that from place to place to place. That's what I am going to try to focus on this year, is not just moving files, but moving files and data when it needs to be moved from one place to another, so that everybody's looking at the same information. Okay. Let's see. The other part of it
Would
was
be any quick wins that you wanted to recommend people who are not using it? How should they approach to get adopted to 360 Sync? Taking
sure,
baby steps or.
sure. So there's very little, startup with getting 360 sync going. Um, it takes 15 minutes to get you up and running. Usually, if you're talking about SharePoint, usually it's like 30 to 45 minutes in addition to Autodesk and Procore or Windows. Um, but just ask your project engineer, ask your um, ask your person that is boots on the ground, um like what are they how are they managing documents. And
Mhm.
they'll probably go like they'll give you a sigh and they'll be like, oh yeah, I have to do this and this and this and this. Just copying files from one place to another, automating that task is going to save you an hour a
Right.
day. So if you're going to start small, that's where I say to do. Just
Mhm.
figure out how long, see if that's something that's beneficial to your company. For me personally, if you're talking about the construction industry as a whole, and you're
Mhm.
saying, hey, I want to, I've got an idea to build something there. In my opinion, um, it's a green space. There's just inefficiency everywhere with it. Okay. It's
Mhm.
with the, we've got it, we need it, it needs more, and, you know, what's the word? We need more innovation there
Uh-huh.
as far as technology is concerned. Okay, so if you've got an idea on how to on how you think that 360 or how the construction industry could be more efficient, you know come to talk to Jitu, because he can help you build it quickly, and then you can start you know giving it out to people that need it quickly.
Mhm. Right. So with that, I know we are on top of the hour. Thank you very much, Michael, for your time in a busy schedules. I know we wanted to cover specific topic here, RFI submittals, but got a chance to give a teaser for the folks to see about 360 Sync. By no means it's not a full demo. Would really encourage people to reach out to Michael offline and his LinkedIn. We will post it out there. Our 360 Sync website if you wanted to have a full demo there, and reach us to TechGrid for any of your data integration needs or construction tech or any of the industries that you're looking for. So this is good, well spent our lunch hour for you, I believe, and we are going to wrap up here. If you have any more questions, please post it out there directly or offline. You know how to reach us there. We would be happy to answer those. With that note, I'm going to end it. We took 3 minutes more than over the scheduled time. Thank you again, Michael. So looking forward to work with you again and be part of your roadmap for 2025 and beyond.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.